My BF has been telling everyone he has cancer for 9 years. My partner told me when we first got together that he has cancer, and if his operation doesn't go well, it could be terminal. He said his treatments have also made him infertile, so imagine our shock and joy when we found out I was expecting at the start of 2024. We now have a beautiful 5-month-old daughter who is perfectly healthy and thriving, and he is in remission. My pregnancy was difficult and lonely because of all the intense treatments he went through while waiting for his operation. I did a lot on my own, knowing he desperately needed this to have the best chance possible of shrinking his tumor before having it removed, so we can have a long happy life together as a family. He is currently living with his mom while he is in recovery, so that it takes the pressure off me caring for both him and our baby until he is well enough to move into our new home with us. He still comes to our house and we go to his mam's all the time, so our baby isn't missing him, and on Wednesdays he has his daddy-daughter days where it is just the two of them to make sure they are bonding well, and he has the practice until he is well enough to care for her at home full-time and give me a little break too. Last week we had an attempted break-in at the house. Editor's note, Oop posted about that a few days ago, but it was deleted. I asked him to come over and stay here while I'm waiting for the locks to be changed because I'm scared, but he wouldn't. I was talking to his ma'am too, who slipped up telling me he wasn't home. Long story short, this is Reddit. I'm sure you can see where this is going. We argued for over 24 hours before my suspicions became too much and I went to Facebook. It took me less than an hour to find the first 2 women. During my pregnancy I was suspicious of a lot of things, and put it all down to my hormones, as he would continuously tell me that I am paranoid and hurting him when I ask. One thing my paranoia just wouldn't let up about was his cancer and his treatments. I asked his ma'am about it, who told me he doesn't have cancer, but he is having treatments. He has an autoimmune disease which he receives transfusions for. Very serious but nowhere near terminal and no operations required. She also informed me he was in rehab, not hospital. He was addicted to snow and was trying to recover for me and our baby. I never mentioned to him that I knew. I assumed it was the embarrassment of wanting to get clean without me knowing so he could be a good partner and dad. I was so proud of him for getting that help that I never spoke about it. With his autoimmune disease, his ma'am explained how brutal this has been for him, and that he did have chemo a few years back, so maybe that's why he's confused. Pregnancy brain is a real thing, or maybe I'm just too blindly in love because I accepted this and never questioned it again. After discovering the first 2 women, I sent my partner a message telling him to let his girlfriend know I'm asking after her and not to bother coming home anymore. I've had the locks changed from the break-in so he can't get in. He panicked and started begging me to answer the phone and let him come see me so he could explain everything. I started to see everything through clear eyes for the first time and realized how long he had been gaslighting me for, and told him no. Realizing he couldn't get through to me and now aware I was trying to contact his girlfriend, he panicked and went to her instead. During that time I found a photo she had shared of the 2 of them and shared it to my profile with the caption, "Can someone please ask this woman to contact me?" She instantly blocked me, but her sister got in touch with me instead. Apparently the family have never trusted him and knew something was wrong. This affair is serious enough to have met the family. She says he has told her not to speak to me as I'm a deranged stalker he slept with once years ago, and have been hunting him down trying to convince people my baby is his. I send her a photo of the birth certificate and us in hospital together to show her sister before he can lie to her anymore. During this I am also messaging another woman who is furious at what he has done and is helping me with all the information she is aware of. She tells me he broke her heart by cheating on her without even knowing he was cheating on me too. So far I have the current timeline. Chemo in March, a 19-year-old. Rehab in April, July, a woman of an appropriate age this time but also cheating on her. August, now his 20-year-old girlfriend. I then find out his emergency cancer Medicaid ion that he had to leave for in the middle of labor was actually the fact my 2 failed epidurals. Screaming in agony, begging the doctors to help because I thought I was dying while the emergency team rushed in to place extra monitors on our baby in distress was actually just a huge turn-on for him, so he needed to go sleep with a 20-year-old before making it back just in time to kiss me before I went into emergency surgery. This was Sunday, it is now Saturday the following week. I made a post on Facebook calling out my partner for his actions, with photographs, medical notes and evidence, and asking people to leave me alone on Tuesday after 48 hours of no sleep, multiple calls to the crisis team, and a barrage of harassment from his friends and family who want to sue me for character defamation. If this was a regular affair, I'd lick my wounds and move on, but I have now learnt I have been leaving my daughter alone with a drug addict who is claiming he doesn't know me or his daughter to others but demanding custody rights to me. Tens of women have now come forward who have also dated him during our relationship with no idea of me or each other. This is obviously really upsetting, but what upsets me the most is that I begin to notice a very worrying pattern. He has told every single one of these women that he has cancer and can't get them pregnant. I said my labor and delivery was difficult. I was induced due to an infection I had. My GP had told me I had an STI, And although I understood and took the treatment and was induced, my madly in love pregnancy brain never accepted it as an STI until I went back this week and checked my hospital discharge notes. And it was there in big bold letters. Sensitive, partner STI. He has been telling women that he has cancer and can't get them pregnant so they don't need protection, which led to an STI which almost unalived me and his daughter in labor, and he wasn't even there to be with us because he was sleeping with a young girl who also believes he has cancer. I decided to let everyone know that he in fact does not have cancer by using a screenshot of his mam's messages. All the women he has slept with to make sure they take a pregnancy and STI test, all his friends who he has been guilting for years over his condition, and also social services and the police for sexual endangerment. Me and my daughter now have safeguarding in place for us from a local organization for women leaving abusive relationships, so I feel very safe to reveal the truth about him and make sure all of his partners are safe. And informed seeing as he couldn't uphold his legal obligation of declaring an STI. I guess his postpartum girlfriend will do it for him. I have also had contact from many of his old friends, band members and ex-partners who have all gave me testimonies to use for the police and as backup for if his mother does in fact try to sue me. This man has been lying and manipulating women for over 9 years. So far everyone is now aware of his lies and I am waiting for my in-person meeting with the police. I can't imagine any updates from here as it will only be a legal battle that probably can't be shared, but if anything else of interest comes to, I will make sure to write about it. Oh, also, my partner is a primary school teacher. Some of Oop's comments, it's come to light this week that his ex-partners have been reporting him for years to no avail. His ma'am is on the school board and her best friend is his head teacher. I'm hoping with the added element of social services this time, and an investigation into child endangerment for our daughter, they can't sweep it under the carpet any longer. Escalating the situation, we're in the UK. His complaints have been escalated to Lotto in the past, which is basically our version of what controls the school's judgment over any dangerous situations, but nothing happened. One of his exes have gave me all the details of their report to push that they ignored her, and it's escalated to this. Relevant comments. Commenter, how does he manage his time? Like, is his superpower time management? A full-time job which requires extra hour work, a baby, a GF, a mother, many lovers? Oop, he would disappear from time to time and switch his phone off a lot. Not living together was a huge help for him. He would tell me he needed set days and time etc. as he can only work in routines for his recovery. Obviously I can look back now and see that really, he just needed to know which girl was where and when. I've been told by multiple people now that he will often just don't turn up to work because he's on a bender or at a woman's house, and I was kept in the dark because his mam's best friend is the head teacher and would cover for him. Commenter, he's a serial adulterer, he spreads STIs, he lies about having cancer, he's a primary school teacher and he's in a band. Oop, was in a band. I've just found out this week that he wasn't kicked out in 2019 for having cancer like he told me, but kicked out in 2018 when his abusive behavior towards women was exposed and they cut all ties with him, except one band member who didn't believe it and never mentioned anything about it to me or gave me the heads up. Update 9 hours later. I've spoken to the police this morning. There is nothing they can do unless they find the substance on his person in the school, so nothing is stopping him sniffing a line before he starts work as long as he takes nothing else with him. They've implied the loophole is that they catch him behind the wheel, and if some reported him driving on substance, they could catch him that way. They said they can confirm that multiple reports and investigations have begun before even my report, so they are unable to share much information with me. Even thought his case involves me, but they told me it is imperative I apply for Claire's Law, and have helped me with the application. It can take up to 10 days for my in-person meeting to provide my documents, and then it can take several weeks for the information to be shared with me. Knowing what I do already, I feel sick that they have told me how important it is for me to make this application. I can't believe in a few weeks he's going to disgust me even further when I receive his police records. My only silver lining is that once I have the police reports, on top of my medical reports, he doesn't stand a chance in family court and me and my girl will be free to restart our lives together. Also, another little note, I've been looking for family court advice in a MAM support group and have been informed that luckily she's only 5 months old and any name changes can be made before 6 months with only one parent's consent, and the witnesses don't need to be his choice, so I will be removing his surname and his grand's name from her middle name, for her to take my surname and not have any more ties to his family. I just wanted to put an apology in here, as well as a lot of people have commented on my poor writing. I am a new ma'am who was lacking sleep even before any of this came to light. Everything I've wrote has basically been just a big vent from me. I know I'm no novelist, but I still apologize if it's been difficult to read. Update 2 days later. I have managed to provide enough evidence of substance use and emotional blackmail to the police to have a domestic abuse case opened. This is going straight past the school to the highest authority to keep him away from children. This is huge news, and gives me such a relief in knowing my child and others will be safe, but I still have that awful feeling of guilt for him. Just 2 weeks ago we called each other bride and groom. I think it's going to take a while to grieve the person I thought I knew while dealing with the one I know now. I hope this is the point he actually goes to rehab instead of lying about it, and can find happiness and restart his life. I don't think I want to make any more updates now. I am unbelievably grateful for the kind words and advice, but I originally just wrote this to get my emotions out of my head to help me sleep better. I know I used a clickbaity title, but I did not expect my post to blow up like this. Thank you all for helping and making my emotions feel validated in an absolutely insane situation. Me and my little girl are going to be okay. Edit. All of my posts and updates were wrote about 4 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, and mostly rants, so sorry if there's any mix-ups or confusion. I also didn't know how to edit posts at the time to go back and make sense of my rambling. This was wrote a week after it happened, so the police seemed quick, but in actual fact I'm still waiting on updates from Claire's Law and the cases they mentioned during my interview. I'm 27 and my ex is 33. GBS isn't an STI, and I apologize if I didn't make that clear. It's a bacteria contracted from being intimate, apparently common in people with autoimmune disease, but only harmful during pregnancy. I never received STI testing during pregnancy due to being over 25. My GP told me that my symptoms presented as an STI and recommended testing for gonorrhea, but I turned down the offer thinking it wasn't possible. And she just told me I had GBS, so it must have only been that. It was my discharge papers from the hospital that had sensitive partner STI under the risk assessment section. I made a mistake. He did actually tell me he was in rehab. I forgot, as I didn't have text messages about it. He emailed me for 1 month telling me he couldn't have his phone in rehab, and I had completely forgot. Yes, he is still with his new girlfriend. She is sadly under the same spell I was. She rang me off my Mills phone to demand a DNA test on my child, and they have all been blocked since. I start DA counseling this month, and I'm also on a waiting list for perinatal counseling too, to help me process my trauma and get help as a single mother. I'm not doing very well at the moment, but my daughter is doing extremely well. He is still working at the school during all these investigations, and from what I've been told, I obviously don't go out drinking in town anymore to see for myself. He is substance dealing, drinking, and using every weekend with his group of 20-year-old friends. I hope that answers most of the questions in the comments. For the people saying they have been through similar, I am so unbelievably sorry. This is the worst pain I have ever experienced and would never wish it on another soul. If you're still going through this or are still struggling, please contact your country's crisis teams and go to your doctors for mental health advice. I'm not sure about other counties, but the UK is brilliant for confidential help and advice. You're never alone. Thank you all for advice and help.